Hey, it's John from Denarii Games, and we're doing another devlog update. It's been a couple weeks since the last one, but we had a forcible week off where had a catastrophic PC failure. Just about everything in that PC failed, but we're back at it. And I wanted to kind of clear the head and tackle a new system that I knew I would be needing. And that's what I want to show tonight. It's this programmatic building generation. I own a couple other assets. Dungeon Architect's really good for laying these types of things out. But for individual buildings, I wasn't so sure it would work. And it was just easier for me to code it up in the last week. And so that's what we're going to show off. The assets started out as 3D Forge village interior and exterior. You can probably see some parts of it, right now in it. But it's been reskinned. So in the last week, I took some of the quantum theory Rome and reskinned it. So let's jump right in. So, if I start to hit this generate button, you're going to see it pull out and randomize the building based on the configuration parameters that you see. We can change, for example, the width and the depth of the building and completely change the orientation to lay out these different buildings, and it'll respect those parameters. We'll change it again and continue to generate. This is going to give me the ability to lay out an entire city basically, and have some variation. But as you kind of go through that, one of the key things you find is that you have these sets of components. The interior and exterior windows need to match. The interior and exterior door needs to match. And so it kind of drove me down the road of creating these configuration sets. They're scriptable objects. Got a whole bunch of them now. I've got one for roof and one for frames and one for different levels. And by swapping these out, I can get further variations on these buildings. So in this example, let's say I wanted to put in the pink plaster brick at the bottom level, and the rest of the level will be the pink plaster. By dragging over these configuration options for this one building, we can swap it out, pick a different frame. Maybe we'll use the brick frame here. We'll add it to 3 floors this time and generate, and you get a totally different looking building. Again, it'd be very difficult to do just having sets of prefabs and trying to handle it that way. So configuration was kind of key to this whole thing. Let's pop into one. This is the plaster level. I call it poor plaster because it's going to have different sets of prefabs for, say, middle class or rich plaster buildings. And basically the code is looking at this configuration object and figuring out what to pull out and doing a little bit of math, obviously, to generate the building. So another thing that I kind of like about this approach is if I can kind of lay this thing out in city, that's what we're going to use for the entire city generation. I can go to an individual building or individual street and kind of swap things in or out. If I wanted to have a balcony or not have a balcony, I can turn that on or off for a given building and kind of change the way the look and feel of the street just by swapping out these configuration objects. So let's take a look at this in game. We're using MMORPGKit, of course. Launch the server and jump in as the client. We'll save real fast. And I've manually placed in one of these buildings, and we've put in the door frame object, which has to be saved obviously in the database. And that's all kind of done manually right now. But when we're in a game, of course, we can now interact with that object using the normal building tools that MMORPGKit provides. I'll pull out inventory here, and got a door I can stick into that door frame. Put the orientation right here. That's better. And there it matches it perfectly. So, the rest of MMORPGKit, still applies. So, I can open and close and play the animation, and, I can lock it. I can lock this door and put in a passcode and that sort of thing. The next step will be automatically taking these placed buildings and putting those frames in. So I'll tackle that the following week. That's for it for tonight, and have a good one.